Hi, this is Dan here doing a quick Season 4 Mastery Survival Guide. In this guide, I'm just going to go over basic mastery builds for the different roles in Season 4. It's not an absolute guide by any means. It's just a good starting point if you are still figuring things out for Season 4. To jump to the mastery pages for the role you're interested in, just click on any of the pages and it'll jump to the right section. Hey, this is Dan here, and in this section, I'll be going over the AP Caster Mastery for Season 4. I'm going to take 1 to 2 minutes to explain and give some insight on the mastery I choose for AP Caster. And so, just to start off, I choose Double-Edged Sword because it makes it so you deal more damage even though you take more damage. That means you're going to last hit better, and you're going to burst harder and hit the enemy a lot harder even though you're going to take more damage yourself. I think it's a fair trade-off. Moving over, there's Sorcery. Sorcery, the cooldown is a necessary stat for caster. You definitely want to take it. Butcher and Feast. Butcher just makes you auto attack better on minions. That means you last hit better, more gold, better scaling because now you can buy more items. Feast because it regenerates 2 hit point and 1 mana per unit that you kill. That means it gives you more lane sustain. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you can add points into Exposed Weakness and Spell Weaving. What these does is it just makes it so every time you cast an ability, successive hits on it with ability for Exposed Weakness does more damage. And Spell Weaving, whenever you auto attack an enemy, it builds up stacks, and at 3 stacks, you're going to be doing 3% more damage with abilities. So it adds another layer of the game. I think it's a little difficult to. So to start off with, you kind of want to just do Butcher and Feast and work your way into Exposed Weakness and really find out where and when this is good. I think Butcher and Feast is a safe bet for a beginning of the season. And so moving down, there's Mental Force and Arcane Mastery is just more AP. So when you level up, you're going to be more damage because you get 16 AP at level 18. Arcane Mastery is just flat AP. You're going to hit harder. If you have a heal, you're going to heal harder. And really, Arcane Mastery is going to scale a little bit into Arcane Blade that you're going to get later. So there's Executioner. Executioner is basically the 21 tier point from Season 3. But now you have to add 3 points to get the same effect. However, you don't really need 3 points. I think it's really good to get 3 points, but it's not absolutely necessary. I'm okay with 2 just because I want the extra point to put into Arcane Blade. With the flat AP that you get from Masteries and Runes, Spellblade is going to be giving you about 2 extra auto attack damage in magic damage. That means you're going to last hit better, farm better, harass better. So I think the trade-off 1 point into Executioner for Arcane Blade is good. Moving down, there's Archmage. Basically, it increases your overall ability power. Just a really good stat for any caster. Going down, Devastating Strike, Armor and Magic Penetration. Another absolutely necessary stat for AP caster. And then you have Havoc, which just does a flat 3% extra damage overall. What that means is just more damage means easier to kill the enemy, easier to last hit. So that covers my 21 point in the offensive tree. Then you move over, there's the defense tree and the utility tree. Depending on the caster that you have, you can choose different ones. If I'm playing a little bit more defensive, I'll take Recovery. Recovery is just or I'll take Defense because Recovery is such a good lane sustain stat. You don't need Tough Skin, you don't need Enchanted Armor. You don't have a lot of bonus armor and magic resist for it to be worth it early, so you want to take Block and Recovery in the bottom tier. Unyielding is really good. It just blocks a flat 1 damage as a range. From range. And then you have Veteran Scar. More flat HP means more HP the enemy has to burst to kill you. That means you just have a bigger HP pool. So if you get ganked, if they can't burst you to 0, you can go back and you can survive the gank. So I really like Veteran Scar and I really like Juggernaut. Juggernaut 3% extra health. If you don't want to go into the defense tree and you want to go full ham, full utility, Phase Walker is good. You can recall faster. Fleet Foot If you're going against an Ori or a Gragas, you can dodge the ball or the barrel a lot easier with Fleetfoot. Everybody's going to get a trinket, so getting a point into trinket doesn't hurt. If you're a heavy mana champion, you can build down meditation into Strength of Spirit and you get more regen. I personally don't like it that much. I don't think it's worth it unless you're maybe like Sinjar Rise or something, maybe Blitzcrank. I would go into Summoner Insight and then into Runic Affinity. So that's how I would build in the utility and the defense as an AP caster. In this section, I'll be going over the AD carry or marksman mastery for Season 4. It's a lot more simple for AD. It's very intuitive. For the same reason I did for the AP carry, you're just doing more damage, last hit better, kill enemy faster. You have Fury, which gives you 5% attack speed, or Sorcery. Depending on the champion you have, you would choose one over the other. If you have like Caitlyn, Vayne, Graves, any champion that does a lot of auto attack, you want to take Fury. If you have a champion that does a lot of ability casts, like Urgot, Ezreal, then you can take Sorcery. So you're swapping between these two depending on the champion that you're using. Butcher just lets you last hit better. Feast gives you more sustain in lane. Brute Force and Martial Mastery, it just gives you more damage. You're going to be last hitting better. You're going to be hitting the enemy harder, therefore killing things faster. You take Executioner because I personally think Executioner is a really good stat, and in this case, there's nowhere else that can justify putting it in place of Executioner. So it's just best stat in its class for ADC right now. Basically, it's going to make you deal more damage, give you more bursts, and since when you're farming in lane anyways, to last hit an enemy, they're going to be below 50%, so it's going to help you last hit easier as well. Warlord, flat 5% increase in damage, intuitive stat. You go down, and I said earlier, just Armor Pen, Magic Pen is just such an important stat. And I like that it's Armor Pen and Magic Pen now too, because now champions like Akali and Corki that has dual magic and attack damage, it's going to benefit greatly from this. You go down, you have Havoc, it's going to be 3% increased damage. That means that you're just going to be doing more damage overall. Better for last hitting, better for killing everything. Moving over, I personally would take 9 defense over 9 utility for ADC in almost every case. I can't think of one where I would choose utility. Just because as an ADC support bot lane, you're going to be taking a lot of auto attack damage. You're going to have the reduced incoming attack damage from champions, and you're going to have another one unyielding from all sources of damage. And so just right off the bat, when someone auto attacks you, you're going to reduce it by 3 damage. And you have the recovery, more lane sustain, more HP pool. So for ADC, I feel like it's less dynamic. The only trade-off you're going to be getting is Sorcery or Fury. Otherwise, you're going to want all these listed stats. So that covers my thoughts on the ADC mastery for Season 4. This section, I'll be covering the utility support masteries for Season 4. For Season 4, I feel like support is very static. You have to go 21 point into utility because there's just some really core masteries that you have to get. And I'll get there as soon as I go through all these. So to start off, I get Phase Walker. I just really like the reduced cast time on recall. It lets you get back to base faster, so the chance of someone interrupting you is lesser. Just the earlier you get back to base, the earlier you can get back into lane. I actually omitted Fleetfoot because as a support, I feel like I'm in the back most of the time, just playing very safe. I don't need to run from anything, and if I need to run, usually sometimes you would get the Moby boots anyways. So I like meditation. It just gives you more mana, so you can poke, harass, or heal as a support. You get the scout trinket range increase. Everybody has a trinket is always going to be useful. You go down, getting Strength of Spirit. If you have a decent mana pool, like a Blitzcrank or something, this is really good. But if you want to trade off, you can trade off Strength of Spirit and Meditation for Fleetfoot and Summer Insight. But I just think that with the extra regen from Strength of Spirit and from recovery over in the defense tree is just going to make you really annoying. You can be a really aggressive support. You can go in there, you can do all your auto attacks, and take a little bit of damage and just regenerate up. I take Alchemist because it brings you down into Culinary Master. I think Culinary Master is just a really good mastery. Basically, what it does is every time you buy a health potion, that health potion is going to heal you for an additional 20 health and 10 mana. So I think the utility of Culinary Master is so good that even if you don't get potions and elixir, it's going to make the Culinary Master is going to make Alchemist worth it to get. I put 1 point into Summoner Insight because it's either Fleetfoot or Summoner Insight. Depending on your preference, you can put it wherever you want. I take Greed because as a support, gold is really good, and it brings you down to Scavenger. Each time your ally kills a unit, you're gonna get an extra gold. In a game where your ally is gonna get, say, 200 to 300 minions, you're gonna get about 200 gold from Scavenger, and that's gonna help out quite a little bit. Wealth, you start off with that 40 extra gold. Just the way the starting gold value stacks up, it's gonna help you finish off the extra ward or buy that extra 1 to 2 potions. So I really like Wealth. Moving over, you have Inspiration. I like Inspiration a lot because what it does is it's gonna let you roam around the map more. When you fall behind a level, you get back into it and you're gonna catch up in level. Or if you roam to another lane, which is usually always higher level than you, you're gonna be gaining EXP while you're roaming. Bandit as a melee now, there's always a use for it, and as a range, just that 3 extra gold is just really fun to just steal from people. I take Intelligence because cooldown reduction on a support is also very important. Just makes it so if you're Janet, your shield's up more, you can throw more tornadoes. If you're Thresh, you're going to be throwing more hooks. So I really like Intelligence, and I think it's a pretty core stat. And then you go down into Wander. Wander just basically makes you move a lot faster out of combat. It's promoting more roaming, basically. So the core stats in utility that makes it so you have to go is usually like Inspiration or Scavenger and Greed. So, you know, the points there are just so good that it makes it so you can't go anywhere else. And moving over, there's the offense tree, defense tree. As a support, you're going to be going up in there, auto-attacking a lot. Not necessarily doing a lot of damage per se, but just being really annoying. And so you're going to also be taking a lot of damage. So you want to be able to reduce a lot of that. That's why you take block. Regen a lot of that. That's why you take recovery. And same reason as everybody else. Veteran Scar, Juggernaut, just the HP pool makes it so you're more tanky and less likely to die. In this section, I'll be covering Jungle Mastery. So as a jungler, you're either going to be doing damage or going to be tanking. Those are the two main types of jungler. And this mastery is focused more on tanking and being the off tank or main tank on your team. And so really, to start off, you want to go into the defense tree just because as a jungler, you want tough skin and you want bladed armor. Right now, bladed armor is really strong. It returns 1% of the enemy's current health. So at the beginning, it's going to be doing a lot higher damage. Say a minion or a monster in the jungle starts off with 1,000 hit point. It's going to be returning 10 damage per second. And so that's way more than the 6 from bladed armor. And then it's going to be doing less and less as their HP ticks down. But you have smite, and so it never really gets down to the point where it's going to be not as good as bladed armor on big units. And really on small units, they die really easily anyways, and so they're not as important. So I think bladed armor is actually a slight buff in Season 4. Basic stats I cover, you want to take block and unyielding just because, not because it makes you jungle faster, but because it makes you a more effective tank later in the game. Recovery just lets you stay in the jungle longer. You do take enchanted armor because this is a type of champion where you're going to be stacking a lot of armor, stacking a lot of resist into the later game. So enchanted armor for the later, late mid-game tankiness. Veteran Scar and Juggernaut, just bigger HP pool is always really good. So here's the trade-off that you might want to take one over the other. You might want to take hardiness over perseverance and second wind. And or you can take resistance and evasive if you know you're against a heavy AoE comp. So you're going to be trading these 4 points into this two areas depending on the sources of damage that you know you're going to be taking. I like swiftness in general. Just a lot of movement and pairing reduction is good on junglers because you can get to where you want, you can CC who you want, and you can go in and bruise and tank and back out. I like Runic Shield because it gives you a 50 extra hit point shield at the beginning. For 1 point, even though you kind of have to die for it to refresh, I think it's going to help out with the level 1 team fight quite a bit. Just 50 hit point at level 1, I think it's pretty huge. I take Legendary Guardian because, like I said earlier, I just like a lot of movement and pairing crowd control effect to be reduced because it lets me get to where I want to be and lock down key targets. And when I've done my job and I'm low, I can back out. The variation, or a big variation, comes here, okay? You can either go down 9 in utility as the remainder of your 9 points, or you can go 9 into offense. Depending on the champion that you have, you might opt one over the other. If you have like a slower moving champion where you need some extra MS to chase down people for ganks, you can go into utility for the 1.5% movement speed. And also you get Runic Affinity. That means you're going to be using the jungle buff for longer and being more effective with it. If you don't really need Fleetfoot and Runic Affinity, you can trade these 9 points and just swap it over here. Now you can be getting Butcher. You're going to be doing more damage to minions and monsters. That means you're going to jungle faster. Fury, now you have more attack speed. You can kill stuff faster. And then you can take Brute Force to deal even more damage. You can trade Fury for Feast for more lane sustain or jungle sustain. You can trade another one for Double-Edged Sword to kind of balance them out. You're going to take more damage, but you're going to be clearing faster. And so those are just some variations that you can see in the jungle. So those are the two biggest variation as a jungler. You go down 21 defense, add or remove perseverance and second wind for hardiness or resistance and evasive. Or you can swap the 9 in offense for 9 in utility. Finally, the last mastery book that I want to go over is the tank, aka Bruiser page. For the most part, if you're a tank or a bruiser, going 21 defense is really good. As a top lane bruiser, going 21 defense lets you stay in lane for a lot longer. You're going to trade a lot better. And when you become that late game tank, these stats that I went over earlier is just really good for any bruiser. I'm going to go over the stats again for the tank, okay? For block, it just makes it so you're more tanky against auto attacks. When you stack off armor, it's going to reduce the armor first, and then it's going to reduce block and unyielding. So this is actually a lot better than a lot of people think. Recovery just makes you stay in lane longer, more regeneration. Enchanted armor, if you build like say a Sunfire and a Warmogs, it's really good. So if you're like a champion like Renekton, you almost have to get enchanted armor. Veteran Scar and Juggernaut, same deal, just bigger HP pool means you can be more aggressive and you can punish them harder and take more punishment and escape alive. So you go down. Now you don't need tough skin and bladed armor because you're not tanking jungle creep. You can trade those points for hardiness and reinforced armor, or you can move it over to resistance if you're against AP. And if you want to remove Fleetfoot for Legendary Guardian, it's pretty good too. So in this case, you can take resistance. Evasive is really good if you're against a lot of AoE damage. I would sacrifice a lot of points elsewhere if I know I'm against a heavy AoE comp just to get evasiveness or evasive and resistance. You go down, you have perseverance. I personally like it. If you're gonna plan on getting over 2,500 to 3K or plus hit point, perseverance is really good, and especially it unlocks second wind. If you are a top laner that has lifesteal abilities, if you're Shen, if you're Aurelia, if you're Renekton, any type of top lane champion that has innate healing or goes lifesteal, second wind is really good. I would opt to go for it. And so sometimes people wouldn't get it and they can go for swiftness if they know there's going to be against a lot of slow. So that could be an option as well. I personally, I'm gonna leave swiftness out and keep second wind and get legendary guardian. And there's runic shield too. So this is another point you can swap around. The 50 HP, I personally, I'm a fan of it just because season 3 there's a lot of level 1 action, and having that 50 HP shield at the beginning can swing a level 1 fight one way or the other. So it's not really useful that much into lane. You can think of it as HP pot that starts ticking right off the bat if you fight. So moving over, I would almost always omit the utility if I'm a tanky 80. If I'm a tanky 80 bruiser top, I would take either cooldown for sorcery because attack speed isn't too important. You're not going to be auto attacking a lot. Most bruisers are ability based. If you're Jax, you might even want to take cooldown because he's a caster-ish kind of anyways. And so Fury and Sorcery is good for most top. I'm swaying towards Sorcery. Right now I'm not sure which one is better on, but I